Hey, what's up guys, Ben here and welcome to the OnlyAccies YouTube channel. And since the January transfer window is finally open, I'm going to be giving you the rundown of all the rumours circulating Hamilton Accies. Now, there haven't been many rumours of any names joining Hamilton Accies, but that isn't really a surprise, given a few weeks ago we were told by Brian Rice himself they weren't going to be signing anybody. The only player being linked to Hamilton is Luke Southwood. He's been our first choice keeper for about a month or so, and he's been doing very well. His 6-month loan has obviously expired, and he's returned to Reading. However, we are being told by Hamilton Accies and other sources that they are looking to extend that deal till the end of the season, and that's something that Hamilton fans are desperate to do. Fawn Williams was dropped from first choice keeper after a string of poor performances, and Southwood has done really well to take his place. It does beg the question though, how different would our league position or points total be if Southwood had been brought in earlier? Personally, I would love Luke to stay till the end of the season. I have spoke to him myself and he said that he is also keen to extend his loan deal, and so it looks as if it's down to the clubs and not necessarily the player. His contract at Reading is up at the end of the season. However, reading into it, it does seem as if the people at Reading are a big fan of Luke, and so I imagine that contract will be extended. However, if for whatever reason it's not, I don't see why Luke Southwood isn't a transfer target for the summer. There's been a few names linked with leaving Hamilton, either on loan deals or permanent ones. Two have already gone. Leon McCann has been sold permanently to Airdrie after a successful loan period, and Adedoyin, the wonder kid from Everton, has returned after his loan deal was cut short. Now, literally 5 minutes before I recorded this, I saw that Jack Breen, who's currently on loan to Albion Rovers, has had his 6-month loan deal extended to the end of the season. One of the names being linked to leave is Adrian Beck. Now, he came in from Belgian side on loan for the season. However, it looks as if his loan deal is also going to be cut short. He's only made a handful of appearances and clocked up 1 assist in that time. He's not made a huge impact to the squad, and to be honest, he's barely been in it, and so it wouldn't surprise me if his loan deal is cut short and he wouldn't really be a miss. Next up is Sean Watt, who also seems to be in his way out. Now, I'm actually a fan of Watt and think he has potential to do something good. However, he's not really been given the chance to show that. Brian Rice brought him in at the tail end of last season to cover for some injury problems at the back, and I thought he did well, but clearly not well enough to stay in the team. There was talks earlier on in the season with him being told to find a new club. However, next thing we knew, he was playing in the reserves and was given the captaincy. Now, there haven't been any teams circulating him, and I haven't heard anything about that. However, if he is to leave, it will surely be to the Championship or to League One. That's the Scottish Championship and the Scottish League One, by the way. I've seen a few fans saying I have to agree that Championship is probably more Sean Watt's level at this time. I think with a good run of form and a good run of appearances behind him, I reckon he could be a really good signing for a Championship side. He's a young centre back, he's strong, he's quick, he's still quite thin, so I think coming up against a big striker like a Sam Cosgrove or like a Nucci Ikpeatsu, who would probably struggle, but I think with smaller, maybe quicker, nimble players, he could definitely do his best there. Like I said, with a decent run of performances behind him, I reckon he could be a good signing, but it doesn't look as if that's going to be Hamilton that he does it at. Marcus Fjortoft is another name of Hamilton centre-backs. Looks to be on their way out, but this time on a loan deal to one of the lower divisions. Now, signing in the summer, he looked like a good prospect. He was tall, he was strong, he was good in the air. However, he'd never played top-level football before, and when he signed, we were told by Brian Rice it would take a few months for him to get up to that level. However, he struggled to hold down with first-team place, and has actually seen him drop behind 17-year-old Jamie Hamilton. I personally think a loan would do him good, get him a consistent run of games and not just in a reserve team playing first team football, and the Championship or League One would do him very well. However, is any team going to come in and loan in a 25-year-old centre back who's yet to play it properly top flight football? Speaking of Jamie Hamilton, he's another name that is linked, and he's the latest one of the Hamilton youth prospects to be linked with a big money move down to England. It's said that Burnley and Brighton are interested in bringing the Hamilton centre back in for £1.5 million. Jamie has really impressed the Hamilton contingent and been a big part of Brian Rice's squad so far this season. After having a strong start to the season and unfortunately getting sent off in the Motherwell derby for a still unsure about this handball in the box that led to a penalty and him obviously being sent off, he's returned from that even stronger and put in a string of really good performances. Still looks a little naive at points, although you expect that from a 17-year-old playing in the top flight of Scottish football. However, he still looks very comfortable in the volley. He's got a good bit of pace about him, and he is decent in the air, and he looks really strong, particularly with Brian Easton beside him. Obviously a more experienced hand just to guide him through a game a little bit easier. Personally, I don't think this transfer will go through, and I think it's just a nothing story. It joins the long list of Hamilton prospects being linked with a move down to England. Ronan Hughes was linked to Manchester United. George Stanger, who's on loan at East Kilbride at the moment, he's been linked to Leeds before in the past. It doesn't look as if anything's going to come of it. I'll be very, very surprised if it does. Listen, I have no doubt that Jamie Hamilton will go on to bigger and better things. I think he's a great young player, and one that I do think will get in to either a better Scottish team, or if he moves into England he will have to work his way up. But I think he's got a great future ahead of him, a lot of potential. I just don't think right now any clubs like Burnley or Brighton are going to spend £1.5 million on him. I'll leave linked in the description a thread done by Lewis, who's a big Hamilton fan. He's also a football writer for multiple websites about foreign football, and he's done a really, really good thread looking in depth at Jamie Hamilton this season. So I'll leave that linked in the description if you want a more in-depth look at Jamie Hamilton's performance and why we don't think a move to Brighton or Burnley at this time is going to happen. As I said, it joins the long list of players being linked with a move down to England, and next up is Lewis Smith. He's been linked with a move to Newcastle. I don't really need to tell you much about Lewis Smith. You'll obviously all know about him by now, but he's clocked up 4 goals this season, more than Ryan Kent at Rangers, who was signed for £7 million, and a handful of assists as well. He's really, really impressed and been a huge part of Brian Rice's team so far. He's brought some much needed flair and pace in the wing, something that Hamilton have lacked, and a little bit of a creative spark that recently, since he's been out injured, we have been missing. However, much like the Jamie Hamilton story, this looks to be nothing. It's written that Newcastle are after him, and that Steve Bruce has been a big fan of Lewis Smith. However, I bet if you asked Steve Bruce, he wouldn't even know who Lewis Smith is. And that's nothing against Lewis Smith, I just can't really see Newcastle scouting out Hamilton prospects right now. I definitely see, and I've said this to Lewis Smith himself, he will definitely go into bigger and better things, no doubt about that. He will become a really, really good player. I genuinely do believe that if he sticks with what he's doing now, he's got the potential, he's got the skills, same as Jamie Hamilton. I just can't see any of them leaving Hamilton for at least another 2 years, I'd say. Now that might be a bold claim, given how quickly young players seem to go from their home clubs. However, they've just signed new long-term deals to sign them down, and so I think the club were probably anticipating interest and anticipating bids, and so they wanted to get them in longer contracts so they get more money and obviously a sell-on clause as well. However, like I said, I can't see any clubs really coming in for them, especially not in the January window now. For example, if we lose Jamie Hamilton, that means we need to keep Marcus Fjortoft and probably Sean Want as well for covering that centre-back area. However, when Sam Stubbs does eventually go and we're left with Brian Easton and Jamie Hamilton, I would feel a little bit more comfortable than I would if it was Brian Easton and Marcus Fjortoft or Sean Want. As for Lewis Smith, I see him as the brightest prospect coming at Hamilton at the moment. So much flair and pace, like I said, already got a handful of goals, and I reckon the second half of the season, as soon as he comes back from the injury, hopefully he can kick on and add some more to that as well, as he will be needed to help us fight relegation this season. That's all the rumours circulating Hamilton and the January transfer window so far. If there are any big moves, loans, rumours, anything like that, we will keep you up to date on the OnlyAccies Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, all of which are linked in the description. But thank you very much for watching the YouTube channel. My last video, the Motherwell Derby win, has already been viewed nearly 500 times, which is fantastic. It's on course to becoming our most viewed video, overtaking my interview with Tati Neil, who's sitting about, I think, 800, 900 views, which is great. If you can go and watch that, again, I will leave it linked in the description, or it's on the channel for you to go and watch. That would be great. Thank you so much for subscribing. We've jumped up 25 subscribers, I believe, since that Motherwell video, so that's great. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you did enjoy, and don't forget to follow us on all our social media and hit subscribe so you never miss some OnlyAccies content.